Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a pretty nice Friday night slate here, Nate. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Hawks playing Miami after they just got blown out at home. See who's playing in that one, some of the best bets and player props in there, a few of them for you. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page, as we've got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, Miami opened as -3 here at home after smacking the Hawks in Atlanta. So if you got that action last night, congratulations. It's still only -4.5, though, pretty exploitable with Jimmy Butler questionable to return. Both him and Bam have been back at practice this week. I think they're going to be a little more cautious bringing Bam back. Yeah, I don't think he'll be back tonight, but Jimmy with a chance to play after missing the last 3 with an ankle injury. Total around 221 as we speak. Looking at the other 8 games on the Friday night slate here, we got the Celtics plus 3.5 at Sixers. Total is only 210 there. I do like the over. I tell you why in the article on Play Picks. Phoenix is -5.5 at Indiana. The Raptors -8.5 at Pistons. 213 seems like a low total there for how the Raptors are playing. Magic plus 11 at Hornets. The Warriors are plus 4.5 at Bulls. They're on a back-to-back after getting smashed in Milwaukee. We break that one down for you in a separate video. Cavs -3.5 at Spurs. The Mavericks looking to end that Grizzlies win streak are plus 2.5 in Memphis. And then the Rockets plus 5 at Kings, total at 239 there. Look out for that in player props, I'm sure. But the Heat, over a larger sample size without Bam, as you would expect, defense a little bit worse, offense a little bit better, a little faster pace. Surprisingly, they have a slightly better record, 16-7 now without Bam. There's been a lot more factors, in terms of guys in and out of the lineup, as they were ravaged by COVID recently, of the last couple weeks. Finally got back to sort of a whole unit in terms of being able to bring some firepower off the bench. And that was the key when these teams met on Wednesday. Miami got 55 bench points, out rebounded the Hawks 54-37 because Clint Capella is out, and he ruled out again for Atlanta. Unlike when their center is out, that is the Heat's. When the Hawks center is out, their offense has plummeted from, they're scoring just 95 points per game in 4 contests without Capella this year. So that's certainly concerning if you want to take the over here, but I'm still leaning that way. Miami, because of the way they've been playing really all season, allowing the second most triples, shooting a high percentage, getting bench points so the offense does not dip when their starters come off. They've gone over, they're 25-16 to the over on the year, over in 8 of their last 9 before they went under against Atlanta because they held the Hawks just 91 points. I don't know if you trust the Hawks offense as much because Trae Young has had 3 dreadful games in a row against Miami now. I think the 4th time's the charm, though. If you look back 4 games, he dropped 50 on Miami after that. So as long as Trae finds his rhythm, I think we will get over here. I would probably concentrate on the Heat total, though, because the Hawks are just awful on defense lately. Their last 6 on the road, a 121.6 defensive rating. That's the worst in the East. 2-4 record, -6.3 net rating, but number 9 in offense. So over in 4 of those 6. And they've just given up some huge totals, including 136 to a Blazers team that doesn't have their star backcourt at all. So it's just like, where did those points even come from? Miami should be able to get that at home, where they're 5th in offensive rating, 3rd in assist to turnover ratio. Miami can light it up at home, and they've been lighting it up on the road lately in those 3 road wins since getting guys back. 43.8% from downtown, and the 2nd best offensive rating in the league.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm really feeling Miami in this one more than anything, especially because of what they've been doing at home specifically as of late. They've won their last 6 at home. They've won those games by an average of 15 points, actually as well. They're scoring 114 in those games, shooting 41% from 3. That they're going to be pulling, and at home, all their guys have some really, really nice splits in terms of their shooting splits at home. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, especially 2 guys that stand out there. And so, yeah, I think, you expect points a lot in this one. Their offensive rating in that last 6 at home is number 1 in the league. And a bunch of other true shooting percentages actually as well. Was just interesting that they've really turned into that type of team to a degree, especially without Bam in the middle, where they do know that they need to outscore you a little bit more to a degree. I mean, that defense still came to play against Trae Young last time, as we mentioned, and nailed that in the player props for his under. We'll see what that, like you said, I don't love taking Trae 2 times in a row like that. But the numbers still suggest that it's Kyle Lowry, it's the Miami Heat, and it is on the road where actually he is a little bit better his offensive rating, as you mentioned as well, which is interesting. So the points I'm not feeling quite as comfortable as I am with a Capella-less Hawks team, which, as we mentioned, this video and the last time we talked about the Hawks, it's interesting how much worse they are on offense without Clint Capella, though they are better on defense this year at least, which, as telling as that can be, it's fine. But the offense is what really stands out to me, and it's mostly because Trae does, he needs that center as much as he needs the wings that play off of him to drive, to drive and kick in the way that he plays. I still feel a lot better about those types of plays being squashed at this point because of the fact that he's not going to have as many options. He's not going to have the same screener and the same big roller who's really, that's exactly what his game is predicated on. So, I think you might consider taking not necessarily under on Trae, but feeling a little bit better. As you mentioned, Miami's points, you feel a little bit better about Miami's guys getting their points just because of how bad the Hawks have been on defense all season long. That's been the story of them. That's why they are who they are. You can blame it on Trae, but I mean, he's also holding up his end of the bargain on the offensive end, as we've mentioned that he is a walking NBA offense. So, I think he'll continue to have the ball in his hands just as much as he did last time. Same level of usage rate as, around 30% for him, especially without Capella out. But that's not something that, I want to bank on being a recipe for success against a Miami team that limits assists as well, et cetera. So, everything that they want to do, the 3-point shooting is what I like, why I would consider an over. The lack of, perimeter defense for Miami, all their strength on D is basically the top of the point, the head of the defense, and Kyle Lowry, and then everything behind him, even if it's Dwayne Dedmon, who's had a pretty nice defensive year as well. So, but it's not, it's not the same level of defense around the perimeter that is needed for a Hawks team that's going to be having to shoot a lot of threes when you consider they have their wing guys playing tonight, but now they're out their big man.
Yeah, they might not have Herter tonight too, which would hurt that. But you're spot on with the 3-pointers. If they start falling, then we're going over for sure. The reason Atlanta scored 91 is because they shot 29% from 3 on Wednesday. Still got 23 free throw attempts though, which is encouraging. And over the course of the season, they're second in 3-point shooting on the road. As I mentioned, Miami gives up the second most 3-pointers. They give up the highest percentage of points off threes at home, as they have since last year, kind of trying to be selective about who they let shoot. They're going to try to keep it away from Trae. But if Herter's able to go, you do have Bogey out there. The Hawks should be getting a little bit more production on the wing. And they've just been giving it up like crazy, 121 points per game during that road stretch I mentioned, giving up 40% from 3, 51% from the field, 28 assists per game. And their bench is just not on the same level as Miami. That's where I would look at maybe some live betting angles in this one, because Miami third in bench scoring, second at home. Atlanta's 22nd in bench scoring this year. They're obviously thinner without Capella now. So I think you would try to look at that as say, like, hey, maybe if we have a close game in the third quarter, Atlanta's looking feisty, maybe I live bet it at that point in favor of the Heat, who are third in points allowed in the second half. They tend to clamp down as the game progresses. So you could look at both taking the under at that point or just taking the Heat if you can get some better odds at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the total to me is what you said. It's going to come down to whether or not Atlanta makes their threes, because that's the reason they had 91 last game. To your point, 6 of the Heat's last 7 have actually gone over because of those stats we mentioned of how good they've been on offense as of late, actually, as well. I mean, dropping 115 against Atlanta, there's not much needed to get to that 221 total, and they still couldn't get over because of those 91 points. So you feel a little bit worse, or you feel the total is not something that I feel as comfortable about versus, the Miami Heat are a good team. You look at the Hawks in the last 16 games, they've only won 3 games against a team that held a winning record. So the only times they've won is when they're playing really bad comp right now. And so, yeah, those winning teams like Miami tonight, I think is going to be too much for them to handle. If they're hitting their threes, great. But I think Miami's team total and they're hitting them, that's what we feel most comfortable about, which is why we feel also really good about the Heat and that small 3.5, 4-point spread as well. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page and check out those other couple videos we have for you today, including that player props video. Until we see you next, happy betting.